portion Balak, we read about Balak, the king of Moab, who wanted to destroy the Israelites. At that time, when people wanted to use spiritual forces to attack an individual or a nation, they would turn to one person, the most famous sorcerer in the world, the most infamous one, who used the power of curses in the most distorted way, Bilam. When Balak came to the conclusion that he had to destroy the Israelites, he called for Bilam. The entire story of the portion revolves around how Bilam used all of his power. He brought 42 sacrifices in an attempt to curse the Israelites and bring about their destruction. Of course, he was unsuccessful. Not only did his curses fail to come out of his mouth, but it says, "Vayahfoch Hashem Elokecha lecha et haklala livracha." The curse itself was transformed into a great blessing. As Rav Ashlag said, all the stories of the Torah are not stories about historical figures like Balak. Rather, the entire Torah is only talking about me. The Midrash teaches that the two streams, Bilam and Moses, were equal in their spiritual power. Nachmanides writes, there is a difference between the prophecy of Moses and the prophecy of Bilam. In many ways, they were the same. They received their messages from the same spiritual level. They were very, very similar. But there is a distinction between prophecy that is merely revelation and prophecy that becomes an entire life of connection. That is the difference between the way of Moses and the way of Bilam. He said Moses did not know what was speaking through him. The entire Torah is prophecy that Moses received from the light of the Creator. If you had asked Moses after he spoke, "What did you just say?" he would have answered, "I have no idea what I just said." But Bilam knew exactly what was speaking through him. If you had asked Bilam, "What did the Creator just place in your mouth to say?" he would have been able to tell you exactly what it was. It's interesting because at first glance, which seems greater, the one who doesn't know what is speaking through him or the one who does? The latter would seem to be more connected to the message. Interesting, nevertheless, the Kabbalists explain that one of the differences between the path and prophecy of Moses and the path of Bilam is precisely this. Moses did not know what he had said. In other words, he did not know what the Creator had spoken through him. But Bilam knew exactly the subject and the message that the Creator had spoken through him. Moses did not know when the Creator was speaking through him. But Bilam knew, as it says, and he knows the knowledge of the Most High. It is like the king's butcher, the Midrash gives an example to help us understand the difference between the prophecy of Bilam and the prophecy of Moses. In compares Bilam to the king's butcher knows exactly what is being prepared for the king's table. If you ask the butcher what would be served for lunch or for the royal banquet, he would know. He would know what is being made, how much it cost. He would know how is it prepared. That was Bilam. Moses, however, was not that way in prophecy. According to this, Bilam would seem to be on a higher level. He knew exactly what was happening. So what's the secret? And why do we want to connect to the way of Moses and disconnect on the way of Bilam? Rabbi Nachman explains, Moses was ready at every moment for the Creator to speak through him. Moses was prepared at every instant for the Creator to speak through him. And the Holy One, blessed be He, would command him according to His own will. The Creator spoke through Moses based entirely on the Creator's will. First, Moses was ready to receive a message at all times. Second, the Creator only spoke through Moses based on the pure will of the Creator. But Bilam directed and calculated that matter. Bilam did not simply want to receive a message from the Creator. Maybe it would be an uncomfortable message. Maybe it would not be what he wanted to hear. Bilam was very calculated about what, when, and on which subject he was willing to receive a message from the light of the Creator. He calculated only about the matter that he desired. He focused only on the thing he wanted to achieve, the direction he wanted to pursue. And he would isolate himself and prepare his soul so that the Spirit would rest upon him.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Book now with me one-to-one session in angel coaching and communication coaching. To learn more, email or DM me. Enjoy the video.
Take the example in this portion. Balak comes to him and says, I have a job for you. You'll make a lot of money. Bilam says, great, I'm interested. I need the Creator's help. So what do I have to do? I'm going to focus on the subject. What do I want to accomplish? Okay, I want to destroy the Israelites. I need to curse them. So I need to take some time and meditate. But what is he meditating on? Is he asking the Creator to guide him? No. He's telling the Creator, this is what I want to do. Now, how are you going to help me do what I want to do? His meditation and all of his spiritual communication were focused directly on what he wanted, how he wanted it, and when he wanted it. And he knew that if the Spirit came upon him regarding that matter, which he had planned, it would speak to him only about that matter and not about anything else. Because Bilam was only open and willing to receive guidance about the specific subject and idea that he had already decided upon. But Moses did not know when the Creator would speak through him. Moses was completely pure and open to the light of the Creator, for there was no fixed time for the divine communication. Moses lived his life with a pure and simple desire. He wanted only to do what the Creator wanted to do. Moses wanted to receive the message from the Creator exactly as the Creator wanted to give it to him. Bilam was different. And most of us are in the same situation. Bilam had a general plan for his life. He knew what he wanted to achieve and where he wanted to go. And of course, he knew he needed the light of the Creator to help him. But he was not truly open to the light of the Creator. Throughout most of the portion, Bilam is deeply struggling with the Creator. He begins by saying, certainly I can only say what the Creator tells me. I cannot say a single word unless the Creator directs me. But in truth, he was not open. He was trying to force the Creator to fit into his own desire. Moses directed his heart toward the divine speech that spoke with him at every moment, whenever it came before him, and his only desire was to be commanded by the light. Moses was on a completely different path. Moses said, I don't care what the Creator wants to tell me or what the subject is. I don't care what the Creator has to say. That is all I want to hear. Bilam and Moses are not historical figures that we are simply studying. Bilam and Moses represent two paths that are available to each one of us. Which path do you feel we are on? Throughout our lives, we all connect to the light, and that connection is important. But do we truly want to hear what the Creator has to say? Or are we like Bilam, saying, I have this problem, I want this specific thing, I want this particular blessing. Now, what's so wrong with that? Why shouldn't we try to direct the light? Why shouldn't we try to be like Bilam instead of like Moses? Completely open and pure. I don't have a preconceived notion of where the blessing should come from. There are two reasons why the path of Moses is filled with far greater blessings. And just to note, the path of Bilam also contains blessings. When you have your own desires and you are willing and even want the light to enter and you make the effort, you read the Zohar, you come to Shabbat, so that one specific thing will happen, what are you really saying? You're saying, I don't care what's actually best. I don't care what the light wants. I know what I want, and I'm going to try to force the light to bring about exactly what I want. But what if your soulmate is someone completely different? A person can say, no, I don't want the right one. I want this one. When we live the life of Bilam, we are telling the Creator, don't bless us. What is a curse? It's not always something negative that happens. The wrong blessing can be the greatest curse of all. Bilam saw success, fame, and power from his past experiences, and they led him completely astray. The path of Bilam is full of good things. They're just the wrong good things. Not his soulmate, not his blessings, not his unlimited light. That is the difference. We need to move toward the path of Moses. It is simple, but it is not easy, because we have to let go of our own short-term desires. In Pirkei Avot, over 2,000 years ago, the Kabbalist Rabban Gamliel would constantly return to this teaching. Why? Because in order to change, we need constant work. This passage is daily work. and it's a daily mantra. Aseh retzono kirtzoncha. Transform your desire, change it, break it, push it aside, and make it the Creator's. Kedei she'aseh retzoncha kirtzono, so that your desire becomes the Creator's desire. And the next verse, which we should know by heart, Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. Make your desire void. Remove your desire in order to allow the desire of the light of the Creator to rest upon you. This is very difficult. Think about the past week. Something happened. Maybe it was only a thought. We're all spiritual, so we say, I need or I want the light of the Creator so that this specific thing will come into manifestation. But the first thought should be, the Creator is showing me something. Maybe this is my blessing. Maybe this is the right thing. But, Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. I want to live and become a person who is always consistently willing to create space, to set aside my own desire if it's not the desire of the Creator. Because that is the only way I want to live. Why? Not because I want to be a good person, not because I want to be a spiritual person, not because I want to be a holy person, but because I know this is the only way to receive unlimited blessings. Because I do not know whether my greatest blessings will come from here or from there. I do not know whether my soulmate is this person or someone else. I simply do not know. I will put in my effort here, but I am not going to become Bilam in the process. I am not going to force the light of the Creator to come here. I am going to live constantly with the consciousness of Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. On a very simple level, almost all the pain we ever experience comes from not living this teaching. Because things are not going the way I want them to go. But do you want life to unfold according to the way you want it to go? Or do you want it to unfold according to the way the light wants it to go or not to go? This path is the only path to the great blessings we were meant to experience. Rabbi Clonimus, writing in the 1930s, brings a midrash in which King David says to the Creator, Shomreni ki ishon bat ain, protect me like the pupil of the eye. King David asked the Creator, protect me the way you protect the pupil of the eye. Who wouldn't want protection from the light of the Creator? But there are two kinds of protection. There are different kinds of protection, whether you live through the path of Bilam or the path of Moses. Both offer a certain level of protection, but only one of them can attain what King David was asking for. Protect me like the pupil of my eye. Shomreni keishon bat ain. A person protects all parts of the body. We are constantly trying to protect ourselves, but usually if a person falls and scrapes their knee, only afterward do they look for healing. The eye is different. If something comes toward the eye, it closes automatically. It is the only part of the body whose pupil is naturally protected before it is harmed. This is why King David prayed, protect me like the pupil of the eye. What kind of protection was he asking for? There is a lower level of protection, the path of Bilam. Something happens and afterwards everything works out. Or there is the protection of the eye, where the damage never happens in the first place. Rabbi Clonimus teaches that the only way a person can attain this type of protection is by living with a constant consciousness of Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. Because only then is a person 100% connected to the Creator. Protect me like the pupil of the eye. May I not even be struck, like the Rav used to joke about life insurance, that after you die, it pays. There are two levels of protection. One is after something happens. The other is making sure that nothing negative happens at all. So the path of Moses is this, to wake up every morning and throughout the day, no matter what happens, remind yourself, Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. I don't care what I want. I care what the light of the Creator wants from me. Because what the light wants from me is so much greater than anything I could ever want for myself. So where will the blessings come from? I don't care. What will happen? I don't care. All I care about is that my consciousness remains Batel retzoncha mipnei retzono. Then I receive the real blessings. Then I receive new direction. Then I receive true protection. That is the power of this portion. We are not reading about Bilam and Moses. We are reading about the way we ourselves choose to live. Will we become disappointed every time life doesn't unfold according to our plan? Or will we choose the path of Moses, the path of making space for a blessing greater than anything we could have imagined for ourselves? Every moment we are choosing between these two consciousnesses. The consciousness of trying to force the light of the Creator to fulfill our will, or the consciousness of trusting the light enough to let it reveal far greater than our own. That is the greatest blessing of all.